This is the Trusty A podcast, live on Sunday morning. Uh, just giving you a friendly reminder not to taste test that little baggie of white powder that you found on the bathroom floor, because that's not smart. I'm not sure. We may have a guest today, maybe not. I don't know. I invited someone, but I did reschedule for the usually scheduled timing since I was able to do that today. And, you know, pull your head out of your ass. Get your shit together, Sim Chimp. Mr. Sim Chimp Rising. We're going to look for bugs. We're going to look at bugs at maybe some other stuff. I don't know. So last week we were talking about these blue death feigning beetles and how they might be a good pet. I don't know. I'm looking for a new pet, something that's manageable for me. For right now I don't have my own place and stuff, but companionship is important. And we watched a video on the blue death feigning beetle. They're when you look at them up close, they're kind of cute. They've got this little kind of soldier. Look, they got the shell. Oh, you can't see it when it's blown up now. I'll show you the blown up end. Okay, I have to present the screen again. They've got like these like little spiky backs. Uh-oh, am I gonna get a copyright strike for sharing this? Yeah, I mean, I used to catch bugs when I was a kid, and that's cool. I was never able to successfully keep them, which is, makes you feel incompetent because it's not that hard, right? They're bugs, but, is what it is. As an adult, maybe I'll be able to keep bugs and be successful at it. So we watched this video that's come up from Clint's Reptiles. We have another one from Aquarimax, who we also heard from last week. So let's check that video out and wait around, see if anything happens. Okay.
Hello everyone, Russ of Aquarimax Pets here, and today I'll be giving you an update on my desert tenebrionid or darkling beetle vivarium. Well, this just came in from Beast Pets and Supplies, also known as US Invertebrate. This is specifically Asbolus substrate. Asbolus referring to the genus in which blue death feigning beetles and their close relatives fall. And this is kind of similar to what I've done in the past, where I make sure there's organic material underneath, but this is specifically created for blue death feigning beetles. Let's see. I was looking at these and it took a minute to figure it out because it talks about a top layer of 1 inch and a 2-inch bottom layer. But then I looked in the bag and you can see there's a separate bag inside. So let's take a look at that. So this is the top layer. And because I'm doing a 20-gallon long, I'm using 4 of these bags.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty large tank.
A house or a laptop? Which one do you think is worth more? Well, definitely not the house, because it not only costs...
Shut up.
So each one of these bags contained one of these bags. So unfortunately, when I shot this sequence here, I thought I was shooting it in time lapse, but I wasn't. So we'll give you an edited version. So now that we have the 2-layer substrates in from US Invertebrate, I'm going to put in the decor. And this is all decor that I had in the previous iteration of the enclosure. You may be familiar with it if you've seen it in another one of my videos. The decor that you see me adding to the vivarium right now consists mostly of cholla wood and sagebrush wood. It serves several purposes. Hopefully, it's aesthetically appealing to human observers, but more importantly, provides high, as well as lots of surface area upon which they can climb. I'm trying to arrange it as closely as possible to the original configuration that I had in the vivarium in its previous form. The substrate's a little deeper, so I'll probably have to make a few modifications, but I think it's starting to shape up pretty nicely. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.
Looks good.
And here is my crew of desert tenebrionid beetles, or darkling beetles. You can see there are various Asbolus verrucosus, the blue death feigning beetle. Right here, front and center, is the Asbolus laevis, the smooth death, closely related. We have the ironclad beetle right here. This
So you can get a whole team of different beetles they're not going to fight. That's cool.
muricata, the rough death feigning beetle.
A few different varieties.
And we've got a few more. There's a pair of Eleodes armata in here. 1 or 2 more species. So, without further ado, let's bring them over to their new digs. Okay, and I'm going to move these over with a nitrile glove. I don't fear the beetles doing me any damage, but I do want to avoid getting repugnatorial fluid on me for the species that can do that. Not many of these will, but some can. Here comes another blue death feigning beetle. I think I'll start with that species first. They look really nice against this red sand.
Yeah, that is
I'm
cool,
colorblind, but I
cool
can still
aesthetic.
see how it sets them up pretty nicely. Only partially colorblind, technically color deficient. Here is a little wee one. And before I release any more beetles into the new enclosure, I'd like to take a second to thank my patrons at Patreon. I really appreciate all that you do, and in recognition of that, I put the names of all of my patrons in some of my videos. You'll find that list of patrons at the end of this video. If you'd like to find out more about what it means to be a patron for Aquarium Pets and help support this channel, then please check out the link at the end of this video or in the description.
Oh yeah, Patreon. Patrons, Patreon. I doesn't seem to be buffering on my end, but there may be a combination of a little bit of connection lag on my end and something going on in this video with his editing and the camera, and it sounds like he's got something going on in the background. Just making sure it wasn't me. But also, thank you, Patreon supporters. My primary Patreon supporter has been Secular Peg and Mom. But of course, you know, opening up the floodgates and doing exclusive streams over there. Pretty exclusive streams every week. Doing the Saturday show, which has some weird stuff going on every week. So check it out if you like. There's some free videos up there as well. You know, I kind of just spread the love around with whatever I'm doing. But trying to get supporters for as little as $1 a month to join the Patreon thing. There's a link when you go to the channel's about section, and if you want to pay more, $2 or something, you can get some stickers and some prints and stuff.
Description. And now let's do some more. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've put 5 blue death feigning beetles in now. There's number 6. They're all over this paper towel I used when I put them into the holding deli cup here. And they're all over it. That's 7, I believe. There's number 8. Another good reason to use this glove is that I think it helps reduce the amount of the amount of skin oils that you get on the beetle, which can cause their blue coloring to kind of fade temporarily. It comes back, but it's kind of annoying, and I don't know that it causes discomfort to the beetle. It probably doesn't, but aesthetically it's not very pleasing to see that get rubbed off, and so this glove seems to help avoid that. Now here is a little tiny one. I can't recall the species name right now. This is one of my favorites. Good things come in small packages. It's kind of off camera there, but it looks like it's going to turn around. This one was sent to me by Peter and Jesse at Bugs in Cyberspace. I believe it's been well over a year now. That little guy's still going strong. That was for an expo. And I asked for a package of beetles, some more beetles to liven up this enclosure. Part of the reason I had a shallow substrate in here before is because it was for presentation purposes. I needed something I could easily carry, and you can't carry a container like this very easily when there's 3 inches of substrate in it. And so I've had very shallow substrate in there since that expo. But now I'm just kind of going to refocus the purpose of this enclosure and see if we can get more larvae out of it. Here is the diabolical ironclad beetle. That was also in the package from Bugs in Cyberspace. So these beetles come from various sources. Some come from US Invertebrate, some come from Bugs in Cyberspace, some come from people who contacted me and said, hey, I have a couple of blue death feigning beetles and I'd like to adopt them out to you, and sent them to me, various sources. So, and some of these may well be some of the ones that I produced myself. I only produced a couple before changing focus and not really focusing on breeding these. I haven't tried to incubate larvae or anything for a while now, since my last video on surface pupation. I think I had a successful surface pupation of one of the beetles. Worked out just fine. A little help from Invertebrate Dude, I believe it was, who told me to put a piece of cork bark near it so it could grab onto something, and not remain upside down too long, so it didn't get dense in its elytrae, which I appreciate very much. So we've got lots of beetles feigning death, not just the ones that are actually named death feigners. As you can see, the diabolical ironclad beetle, very convincingly looking dead. The Eleodes armata right here, also some of my favorites. Don't seem to play dead, but they really do stick their abdomens up there when they are attempting to ward off potential predators.
And the other guys are
I am
kind of checking them out. Are you good, dude? He's like, yeah, I'm just playing
a small part in getting blue death feigning beetles more widely bred in captivity. I didn't crack.
And ads. So we'll call that good. I was gonna try to get 10 minutes into the video, but as you can see, a new environment, and it's natural. The beetles, they're gonna be a little uncomfortable. They're gonna check out what's going on. They're looking for places to hide. Some of them are just laying there playing dead, and so after they get used to the environment, I'm sure it'll be a bit more interesting over there. So yeah, I mean, that's a cool way to keep them when you have the resources to do so. Why I'm looking into the beetles for my situation is so that I can keep maybe just a few in a very small enclosure until I have the space, the capacity to get a larger one. And so it seems to make sense to me. I'll just turn off this damn background. It's probably messing things up. Looks alright, but I just don't have the bandwidth for it. I'll have to wait till tomorrow to try and get a Wi-Fi hotspot, which I've been putting off, but got a lot of things to get accomplished tomorrow, so maybe the Wi-Fi hotspot, get my meds will be on the top of that list, and I can accomplish other things today. And my cousin texted me here. So after I'm done with this, maybe go do something with him. Yeah, it's actually really nice out today. They said it was supposed to be raining all weekend, and then it was showering off and on yesterday, but not consistently. And here we are, and the sun's out. So I'm like, well, I wasn't expecting that, but okay, it's cool. I'll take some sunshine. I will not reject the sunshine. Yeah, we came on camera to smoke some more monkey butter. I got the another eighth, the very last eighth of that monkey butter I had last time. And, oops, dude, this is some good stuff. I like it. I like it. Oh, we got Coffee with Lavender on. Let's check out Coffee with Lavender. I like watching Coffee with Lavender, lady.
That I enjoyed that movie. Like, genuinely, I thought I'd hate it.
Yeah, I can see why you might think that.
But it turned out to be not bad. I mean, imagine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, I've been a bunch of movies where I watch it and
What's
I'm
going on?
like, that was very different than what I'd been led to believe, and it was better than I was led to
Where's that coming
believe.
from?
So, I mean, it doesn't happen often. A lot of times my assumptions are exactly correct. But not every time.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Where?
Oh, where has my little dog gone? What?
Oh, where could he be?
Where did I put my eggshells and vinegar?
The garbage, I hope.
Well, there's a medication I have.
Speaking of
You
Ko-Fi
take-
or coffee or whatever it's called,
Calcium acetate.
I believe I created
And
a
you
Ko-Fi
take
or
it with
coffee
eggshells
account
and vinegar for some
to
reason?
donate to
Oh, you can prepare it
Lavender
from
Ladies,
eggshells and
and
vinegar.
I seem to remember
Wait.
I did.
Is this a medication you were prescribed, or is it just a medication you take?
What?
I was actually prescribed it.
Then what are you doing? Like, I don't understand why you're preparing it. Are you saying there's a
Where's that
home brew, or is
thing?
there something you're supposed to do according to your doctor?
Well, according to my doctor, I'm supposed to take some of this stuff to bind the phosphorus in the food that I eat.
Yeah, I think I was really asking about the method of delivery, but okay.
The method of delivery is capsules with calcium acetate powder.
Then
Yes.
why are you dipping it in vinegar?
She's just talking about a homebrew version. It's basically you can make the same thing using eggshells and vinegar.
Okay, see, that was the information I was after.
Okay, then. And yeah, it's a whole bunch of fun. It's amazing,
Not even gonna ask.
though, how much
None of my
the
business.
kidneys do. You don't even think.
It is though. I Lavender Lady is what is that noise?
Recordings just got
It's gotta
better.
be on there.
Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that local recordings are now available on StreamYard.
No?
Have you ever done a recording
Still
where your
happy.
guests just had terrible internet issues?
I might
They
have
were
low
blurry,
headphone
they were
battery.
freezing. You could almost hardly hear them. Well, with local recordings from StreamYard, you'll be able to
This is
download a
nice.
perfect quality video.
Where's my cable?
They lie all the time, and what bothers me is they get away with it and they just move on to the next set of lies.
Listen, we got some breaking news just coming into us here
Rather
tonight.
than-
New documents from this billion-dollar lawsuit against Fox News. They are literally, truly breaking in just the last couple of minutes here. Rupert Murdoch acknowledged that some of his big stars, commentators specifically, endorsed lies about election fraud being pushed by former President Trump.
I mean, the media's job approval has never been so low, the distrust in them. But let's back it up. Their job is to get the story. But with Donald Trump, their mission was to get the president.
In Murdoch's words, hosts like Sean Hannity, Jeanine Pirro, Lou Dobbs, I'm quoting, endorsed those lies. He said, I would have liked us to have been stronger in denouncing it in hindsight.
Can't even count how many times I've been lied about, how many times people say I said things that I never, ever, ever said. Hannity said, no, I didn't.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and Kellyanne Conway, the original BS Barbie of the Trump administration, looked like she slid out of a bottle of Xanax and onto the set of Fox News. Hannity started off the show quickly. He dove headfirst into a pool of stupidity with vague accusations of they are doing this and they are doing that. And then, like a bad bait and switch, introduced Smelly Ann Conway.
I want to challenge people watching tonight who don't wear red hats, don't consider themselves MAGA, don't consider themselves very strong political people. I want you to ask yourself how many times you've been lied to, not just by this government, but how many times you've been lied to by the people whose job it is to tell you the truth in the media, all in the service of getting the president. Trump derangement syndrome is real. We lived it.
She jumped right into the middle of the morning dumpster fire to gaslight the Fox Morning viewers with the question, are you sick of the lies yet?
Fox News, #1 rated for decades now. I think they're jealous. I think they're jealous. You get picked on because you're the GOAT.
If Murdoch is acknowledging these lies, these election fraud lies, and he is the sort of titular head of the company, what does that mean from a legal perspective? Does that not strengthen Dominion's case here?
The reality is that Fox is not likely to win. That's not even that much of a legal opinion. In motions for summary judgment, you're essentially asking the court, hey, this plaintiff has zero chance of winning at trial. Not a small chance, not a diminishing chance, but basically 0.0, that there's no issue of fact, and the only thing left for the court to decide is that this case simply cannot win.
This is the point where any sane person would have changed the channel. It was sickening watching that delusional jackaloon look into the camera, asking if we were tired of the lies yet. She then began naming the so-called lies that had her so hot under the collar. She started by saying that the taxpayers wasted too much money investigating Donald Trump. Remember Russian collusion into the 2020 election? How about the Mueller report? Remember that one? Remember Ken Buck from Colorado asking Robert Mueller if Trump could be charged with the crime after leaving office? Mueller surprised everyone by saying yes. True to form, the bumbling Conway blamed everything on Trump derangement syndrome, another crackpot notion that her team cooked up. The only one lying is you, Smelly Ann. Your pathetic lies are all old and boring. Your despicable attempt to portray yourself and Trump as the victim in all of this is ludicrous. You're a delusional moron, Kellyanne, and your stupidity speaks for itself. The truth is that the American public deserves justice when it comes to Donald Trump and his reign of crime. We the people deserve the truth about Trump's role on January 6th, and we all want to see the orange tyrant frog marched off to jail. You deserve to be right there with him, and that's a fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.
Okay, well, I appreciate your opinion, man, but that wasn't really, that was like, hate watching the news media speak or something. I don't know. So let's get fair and balanced news. Fair and balanced news. From one extreme to the other. Yay! I'm not giving them a like. Are you kidding me? Everything's going wrong, man.
Way, as in the breath going out and the breath coming in. Yahweh. The other word is Jehovah. Jehovah Jireh. Those are strong words. But this word is Adonai. It's more personal. I saw the Lord. It's a term of great reverence. Not nonchalant, not flippant. I saw the Lord, Adonai. Adonai, it's a tender word. It says here that he was sitting on a throne, high and lifted up. He's in the temple. And you got to ask yourself, well, what is it? Is it a vision or something? But I really think and believe at that moment that God just kind of pulled the curtain back, and He literally did, because as Isaiah was in the temple, keep in mind that he's there at the court of the priest.
That's what you think he did, but you know he literally did it, or what? Huh?
Beyond that is the Holy of Holies, and there's a great curtain that separates him at that moment. And once a year, the high priest would go behind that curtain and would offer up a sacrifice on the Ark of the Covenant, the mercy seat that had Aaron's budding rod, had a pot of manna, had the 10 Commandments within it along that line. It was called the mercy seat. But at that moment, God pulled the curtain back, and guess who's sitting on the mercy seat, the throne? It's the Lord God Himself, Adonai.
Okay.
God pulled the curtain back. You need to hold on to this, because this is a
Why were they hiding behind the curtain in the first place?
Glimpse into glory, and you need to know when you get there what's going to be happening and what you see around you along that line. So I saw Adonai. I saw the Lord sitting on the throne, high and lifted up, meaning there was none above Him. That's the symbolism here. There was nothing above Him. There is no equal. He's not a God among other gods. He's the Lord God Almighty all by Himself. All by Himself. And the train, all by myself, for a long whistle along that line, but the train is simply the skirts of the robe. Our Lord is wearing a robe. It said that the train of His robe filled the temple. So we're in the temple. We're in the temple there.
Hey, look at these guys.
Been pulled back.
See that? They're time traveling. It's 2 hours in the future over here.
Presence of God, the mercy seat. Above it stood seraphims. the word itself is a word which describes fiery ones, celestial being. You know, we think about angels, archangel, Michael.
Yeah, you might.
You know, we think of those kinds of angels with wings flying, but there's a vast creation in heaven that our Lord has created. It's like looking up, like early this morning when I was headed this way, and looking up into the sky, and it's real early, about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and seeing the magnitude of the universe and the stars and the Little Dipper and the Big Dipper and Venus and there's another one, Jupiter, and all those stars out there, the vastness of his creation you could not contain it. You can't put into a cup everything that God has created when you and I get...
Can you name a handful of planets that you can see at night? I don't know. Let me think of a couple few.
In heaven, we will absolutely be amazed at God's creation.
Will you?
The
Yeah, you probably will.
Fiery ones, celestial being. Notice how he describes this. Each one had 6 wings. With 2
crazy.
he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. There's symbolism here. The covering of the face is in the presence of glory. It's the brightness of the glory of God, the unhindered presence of God. Remember,
I think they're just describing a thing that has like it looks kind of person-like, but its legs and its arms look like wings, and then it like can cover itself up with those wing-looking things, and then it can fly. And that kind of sounds like there's a thing for that, yeah.
remember when you read in the Old Testament when Moses went up on the mountain?
Yeah, I remember that.
To receive the law, the 10 Commandments. It said that when he came back down, that his face literally glowed from being in the presence of God. So much so that they had to put a veil, the people had to put a veil over his face because they could not look upon his face, for he had been in the presence of God. I love that Hebrew word, Shekinah. Shekinah, glory of God.
I bet you do. All right, let's look at this other thing. I was like, I know I've seen something about this before. Yeah, so here we have dragonflies. Mosquitoes? Are these mosquitoes? These are dragonflies for sure. And these all have 4 to 6 wings, I guess. I can't pronounce it. Cool little buglies. What's he carrying? Is he carrying another dead bug? What is that? Can't see. An extinct order of medium-sized to very large primitive Paleozoic Paleopterous insects, informative about the evolution of wings in insects. Okay, so these things don't actually exist anymore. Or do they? They're technically not wings. It's called six-winged insects. Actual wings are often boldly marked. Color patterns evident even in fossils. The mouth parts were elongated, including sharp piercing stylets and possibly a sucking pump-like organ. Dragonflies have 4 wings. Okay. Moths also have 4 wings. Butterflies, of course. Of course, there's her front and... Well, I guess the dragonflies are kind of front and back. They're just set differently, right? plus six-wing frost centipedes. This was a video. It's like a video. Nothing's happening. I guess since we're here, I'll just read the six-wing frost centipedes are centipedes that were similar, so they were centipedes that are okay, I'm guessing they're extinct since it's supposed to be these are all extinct, right? That were similar to the gold-devouring beetles in that they were also an insect species that existed during times of antiquity. The centipede was quite unordinary. Its body glowed with a pitch black light, and had two snow-white wings on its back. As soon as they left the spirit beast pouch, they spouted out large breaths of frost, resulting in a fierce appearance. Due to their partial lineage from frost attribute dragons, their bodies became snow-white upon full maturation, grew six wings, and could spew enough icy key to freeze. What the fuck is this? So this is from Fandom? Okay, so this is not a real thing over here. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? I was trying to talk, okay. Well, I guess this probably would have given it away. I was like, it says advertisement. I'm all, what? Fuck. And I'm over here sneezing. Oh, it's terrible. Most professional podcast ever. Han Lee should be a master and slave relationship. What? What the fuck? These people are way too. Anyway, I don't know what the fuck that was. Some weird anime shit we're looking at now with frost centipedes that never existed. Facts. All facts here. All logic, all the time. Oh shit. That's just too much. Alright. Let's just go back to YouTube. I can do bad all by myself. Oh, we're having too much fun. I find a reason to laugh, I guess. Try and laugh at everything now. St. Thomas Hollywood? I have no idea who this guy is. Let's see what's up. Is that a church? It says it's only a test. Oh, nice.
Test,
Moments
test,
of
test.
Dunsery.
Test 1, 2, 3.
He's actually doing a mic check.
Test, test, test. Test of the system. Test of the audio system.
It's working. He can't hear me.
Test of the system.
Can you hear me now? Good.
Test of the audio system.
Is this thing on?
Apostle Hollywood.
No, this is a test.
How do you cash back? How do you cash back? How do
William,
you
if you...
cash back? When you watch Art to the
No, it's gonna do another one. It's gonna do another one. It's gonna be watch 2 ads.
Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With the angelic host proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Christ the highest heaven adored, Christ the everlasting Lord. Late in time, behold him come, offspring of a virgin's womb. Veiled in flesh, the Godhead see, hail the incarnate deity. Pleased is down with man to dwell, Jesus our Emmanuel. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Hail the heavenly son thieves, hail the Son of righteousness. Light and light to all he brings, risen with it in his wings. Mount he lays his glory by, born that man no more may die. Born to raise the sun.
You have just entered the Trusty Ape experience. Yes, Bad Religion. It came to me. It came to me in a vision I had. It was probably sent from God. Yes, it was a pre-spring Christmas miracle. Early Easter, if you will. April Fools, but not yet. Not yet, sir. We're not there yet. I don't know. It's just whatever pops into my head at the moment. At the moment, I was waiting for my, I invited somebody over, if my friend doesn't show up, then, it's only, technically this stream was originally scheduled to start 1 minute ago, but in reality, it's supposed to start every Sunday at 9 a.m., and I just happened to actually be awake on time and up and about to actually do a stream. Actually did a pre-stream over at Stupid Monkey Philosophy, and now I'm here. And if they don't, if my other guest doesn't show up, I may put a link in the side chat. I'm feeling giddy, but we'll see. We'll see. Pops up. Who is this? I don't know who this is. I'll have to look it up. Is that French? What language is that? No, it must be Latin, huh? Okay. Let me see what's up here. This is a new one, I suppose. Let's check it out. Oh, I'm not at liberty to say. I'm contractually obligated to shut up now. What is this song? 9 minutes? Holy shit. Okay, we'll go through the whole thing. This is, well, it's definitely not a sea bass. Yeah, this is fucking mind-blowing, actually. You know what? I was waiting for Bree from Hiveside to drop by, but she recommended the tunes. I'll be here for a minute. Dude, they rip, and this is only 2.5 minutes in. How you doing?
They're fantastic. Yes, thank you. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. I've seen you in some side chats. I don't think we've ever spoken before, though.
No.
Do you do content, or you just kind of hang out?
I want to do some content, but I don't do anything at the moment now. Just
okay.
Just surfing.
Got you. Are you in that? You're an atheist?
Yeah. First question is what tribe I am, isn't it? Yeah. I am an atheist for the sake of the conversations, but I am more of a non-resistant non-believer than an actual strong atheist. You know?
Got you. Makes sense. I'm always curious because I don't, I try to, kind of keep track of who is subscribed to my channel and stuff, and it seems like it's primarily non-believers or people at least questioning faith, so it seems to lean that way. But I'm always interested in talking to believers as well. So, yeah, I kind of try to take the non-confrontational approach too, but I'm in the U.S., so we have to deal with a lot more religious harm than some countries.
Yeah, that's my problem as well. I don't have a problem with religion or religious people. I have a problem with the fundamentalism. That's the big problem.
Right.
Which would you say that this is a byproduct of religious freedom?
I think in some ways it is. It's a problem with, I think, certain philosophies that we achieved early on that were like, I would call them like proto societies, like the way that societies were formed and that we've come to the state that we're at, in part was a product of one guy telling another guy, well, you're not my dad, you're not the boss of me. And then so they had to come to this kind of conclusion that there was some great universal arbiter that was just outside of the realm of human knowledge, and that was the only way they could kind of achieve equilibrium. Say, well, we all just have to agree to this one set of rules, and if we need
but who makes the rules? A secular government, yes, can make the rules for all the religions that can be in the territory. But if a government is religious from the start, the religious freedom dies.
Right, and I think it's fundamentally important to remove the religion from the government. And I think here we don't have a clear sense of that. There's still an argument over what religious freedom means and, what it means to be a nation united under a primary religion, I guess. You'd say something like that. It's not truly secular.
Yeah. Well, UK isn't a secular country, but it's the most secular country in the world.
Right.
Bree's here.
There's Bree. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to gauge where you were at on that, and there's a link up here, and I think I sent you one in the DMs too, Bree. You want to come in? We were talking about bugs earlier, but then I got onto so where does your name come from, Our Dying Son? I was curious about that.
It just popped into my mind. I don't know. There is no story behind it. I find it cool in a way because the sun is dying since the beginning.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, that's true. It's very much like all of us. We're all born to die eventually, but the sun just gets a very, very long life.
Exactly.
And gives life to everything else. So it's a cool process. I didn't know if there was something like the article of poetry behind it or something.
Might be, yeah. It's an existential crisis. That's the poetry behind it. When you realize that the sun is dying, you fall into a nihilistic state, and then you try to recover gently.
Right. Bree says, I have a book called Our Dying Son. Young Earth Creationists sent it to me as a prereq for a debate that never happened.
That's cool. I want it.
Those Young Earth Creationists always flabbergast me. Whose channel was it? I was watching a bunch of videos last night, but somebody was talking to oh no, I think it's ETT. I always get him confused with LPP, but no, it's ETT, and he's a YE seer. Anyway, just like he always just says the weirdest things when it comes to his arguments.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, Bree, if you can only pop by for a minute, that'd be cool. I know you got a show coming up later, a bug drive. We're going to talk about that. Put the shills out there and stuff. Because I was talking about getting some pet beetles, maybe. Kind of start a little insect collection here. And so, are you into collecting pets or anything like? Is that a hobby of yours or?
Me? No. I've
Yeah.
got no. I've got bugs. I've got spiders in my room, but they're not pets.
Yeah, spiders are hard to keep as pets. I've got several here as well. Yeah, I used to. Well, I've had cats and dogs over the years, and then I kind of shied away from that after I lost my last dog. It was just really hard for me to, kind of. I didn't want to go through that, attachment again. So. And I also started to kind of study philosophy, and I started to feel like maybe it was unfair for us to be keeping these animals for our own emotional needs and stuff like that. So,
Exactly.
But then I feel like with simpler creatures, like with insects, you could say it just doesn't really do a whole lot of harm to just take them out, create an artificial environment where you can just study them and sustain them. And
Do you consider them a lower life form?
I don't think they're a lower life form. I just believe they have simpler brains. So I would just say they're necessary, but I don't think it causes emotional distress in the same way.
They can't make you sad. Okay. Yeah. They can't make you sad like fishes in aquariums. Stuff like that.
And in the same way, I don't think we can really make them sad. As long as we sustain their quality of life, I don't think they really comprehend the difference.
Yeah.
Whereas I definitely feel like those other animals, like cats and dogs, maybe even in some sense, fish, I believe, do. Like I've always had this strong sense that, contrary to popular belief, a fish knows when he's in a bowl as opposed to in a pond,
Right. Do they though?
It seems to me that they do, but I'm not a neuroscientist. But you could tell there's a strong difference in the behavior, and it's just like with reptiles. If you keep them in large environments where they're comfortable and they feel relatively free, you could tell there's a difference in the quality of their experience as opposed to when you can find them in smaller environments. And the same is probably true of fish and stuff like that. It just depends on, you need to give them the size of an environment they need to thrive. Whereas I think most people don't have the resources to do that, so they're keeping them in smaller and smaller confinements, and that's what's damaging to a lot of the animals.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, fish bowls are inhumane. How, can we really apply humane traits to other animals?
Well, I mean, I think we can only compare it to our own experience. Like, we don't really have, I mean, we don't want to anthropomorphize these things, but
well, that's not what humane. That's not what humane treatment of animals means, though. It doesn't mean treat them like they're humans. It means treat them like you don't want to make them suffer needlessly.
Yeah.
But like, that's why I like arthropods and why I'm trying to get Kevin here into arthropods, because they don't Well, some of them do, but most of them don't demand a lot of space. They're happy, and like my spiders don't. I mean, they don't realize they're in a. Because their whole world is their web, and as long as the web that they build catches food, as long as I drop stuff in there that gets caught in their web or triggers their web for them to jump out and grab it, they feel like they're living a successful, happy little spider life. They don't even care. But yeah, like a fishbowl where an organism's got no place to get away from, because like goldfish, for instance, the popular pet kept in a fishbowl, also betta fish, people don't realize that they like to hide. That they love to hide, like and putting them in a glass fishbowl with nothing but rocks on the bottom and maybe a couple plastic plants or something in there. It's just not enough for them. They like to feel secure and safe. It's where they spend most of their time. Like if you have like somebody with a koi pond or a fish pond outside, and you see the fish, they and you walk over there, they will swim up underneath the edges or close to some place where you can't see them. They like to be able to have a place to hide. Most animals do.
Is feeling safe and secure? Is that a true human trait as well?
No, I think that's an organismal trait, right?
Right.
Or at least for the animal kingdom. I don't know that you would say that extends beyond the animal kingdom, but I think that providing a place where it feels secure is important for all animals.
Would you say that the fact that they want to feel, I mean, we say they want to feel safe and secure, that means that they are thinking and they are analyzing their environment in a conscious way.
And that's like, it's a gradient, right? From simple, just a simple strand of ganglion running down the organism with a cluster at the front to where we are, right? To where we have a huge brain that does all sorts of wild things. And somewhere along that spectrum, we can start saying that, hey, these organisms are aware of why they have these drivers. But whether or not it doesn't really matter whether they're aware of why they're wanting to thrive. The fact that they are wanting to thrive is evident, right? That we know that organisms, then that would apply to every organism. Every organism wants to thrive, whether it knows consciously or not. It wants to thrive. That's its main goal. Whether it has anything beyond that is additional characteristics that you add on to it.
I think the other key difference with some of the animals we're talking about is that there's a difference between animals that we can socialize with in a way that's like comprehensible, whereas with the arthropods, we're not really socializing with them, but we can observe that they have their own type of social behavior, but we don't interact with them in that way.
You can socialize with some insects, but most of the time it's not in a good way. They have chemical signals that specify us, like hymenopterans, bees, wasps, and ants. They have really good visual memory, like storing what your face looks like. So like that's why if you piss a wasp off or a hornet off, it will go get its friends. Yeah, it'll go tell its friends who you are, and they'll go wait for you.
They're gonna dance your face. They're gonna dance your face first.
And I think the video I saw said they'll wait for someone that they recognize for up to 4 hours. Like if you make a wasp mad on your front porch and then you run inside, it'll wait out there for up to 4 hours for you. It'll go get its swarm and come back, and they'll wait outside for you.
I've seen that before. A couple of friends and we had to eradicate a large group of wasps from his house, and it took us a few days, and they knew every time we were coming. They swarmed his little brother. It was a mess.
Mm-hmm. That's the problem with wasps too, and that's why for the most part I advocate just leaving them alone unless they are in a doorway or passageway where people are going to be, like, or under like a seat someone's going to sit on, or things like that. If they're not someplace where people are going to be, now there's obviously different rules for people that have children in their homes and people who don't. If you don't have children in your home, you can even, I don't even see any problem with leaving them be in a doorway, because they like to hang in doorways. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but because they feel safe in that little corner. But unless you have like a known allergy to them, I say leave them alone. Like, let them be. But let them be. Get it? No.
It's amazing to think what I learned, like doing pest control and just removing nests without ever having to, really deal with the wasps themselves. Whereas as a kid, we were running around doing all kinds of stupid things, trying to get rid of them and just pissing them off, and it's actually pretty easy when you know what you're doing to just take a nest down and walk away.
I experimented so much with wasp when I was a kid. I think they were probably the one that I did my most backyard experiments with. So I'd take their nest and put them in a jar and try to feed the babies and see if I can't get them to grow. And I would capture the adults and see what animals that they would fight, what animals that they would ignore, and things like that. Which ones they would consider food. Tried to feed them different stuff. I did the same thing with toads. Toads were my ultimate backyard safari experimentation. I did a lot of toad experiments when I was a kid, but when it comes to arthropods, wasps were what I had the most access to, because my parents had this wooden shed that they loved in the backyard, so I had a lot of mud daubers.
Right.
No. So what's your favorite insect, our dying son?
My favorite insect, I think it's a moth.
Moth? I love moths. They're so cute.
Yeah. I think what I like about them is their visual system, how they detect light. And the wings and the fluffy wings stuff, and
Well, the antennae are amazing too. The stuff because the ones with the big feather looking antenna, those antenna pick up echolocations of bats and stuff and help them avoid getting eaten. That's super cool in my opinion.
I like the ones that are super white. They're almost translucent when you see them flying around the light. But I think they're the harmful ones, right? The clothing ones that get in your stuff and infest them. But they're really
Here's
pretty
that
when
book
you see them out.
In the private chat. Actually, I'll put it in the live chat too that I was talking about. That has your name.
All right.
Yeah, pull it up. Let's look at some of the reviews on it, if there are any. He sent it to me. I never did a review. No, there's no reviews. Maybe there are. Yeah, there are. There's a few. Our dying son. It's a bunch of physics woo, but I don't even have it here. It's still at my old house with my ex-wife right now, so I can't get it. But once I go over there and get my stuff, once all this shit is over with, I'll maybe do a stream about it and have you on, our dying son. That'd be fun.
That'd be cool.
Cameron Grayson, an apologetic view of our son's formation, function, and future.
Yeah, he's an apologist.
Oh, I see one. Richard White says, rehashed YEC nonsense and science denial. 1 star.
Yeah, that sounds right. That's correct. That's the right review. The 5-star review has excellent editing and interesting read.
Yeah. This former police homicide detective and military man referred to the murdered man as sissies and sodomites who deserved this was a professional recently participated in a discussion regarding a senseless attack on the Pulse Club in Orlando. Oh, wow. This guy is a piece of work.
Total trash bag, right? He wanted to debate me. But he sent me this book, and then I guess we just stopped responding to each other.
Oh no!
But he probably wouldn't talk to me now. I wasn't out back then, so.
We should tag him in this video. It's a baby.
Yeah, tag him. Is he got a YouTube channel? That'd be freaking great. Let me look and see. He might. What's his name? Dr. Cameron Grayson.
Yeah.
Grayson, like Grayson, not Grayson. Sorry, I spelled it wrong. I knew I was spelling something wrong.
No, I think I read it wrong. It's my fault.
Grayson.
I was like, how am I supposed to
Yeah,
pronounce
Grayson. There is a YouTube channel for that name. Ooh, and it does have Apologetics. He does have a channel.
And there we have
Oh my
folks.
gosh. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Hold on. Here he is. Let's poke him. Here's the channel. Seriously, let's all like go subscribe to him. He'll be like, what? I actually do have a troll channel I'm going to subscribe to him with. Hello, Dennis Hogan.
I made one of those as well, but I haven't subscribed to. I haven't subscribed to any apologists. It's mostly the IRL YouTubers that I'm trolling.
So I do. What I do is I created a account so that the algorithm will think it's a like conservative, young Earth, anti-LGBTQ person, right? I created this profile and sculpted the algorithm to feed me stuff like Greg Locke and Kent Hovind and Matt Walsh and all the stuff that you would expect that comes through on the feed of an average like conservative edgelord, right? So
right.
I made that profile so that way when I want to do response videos, all I have to do is go into that feed and I can find stuff to respond to.
Got you. I want to point out, I'm looking at it right now, and this poor guy, he's got 49 subscribers, 34 videos, and he's got 23 views on his last few videos were uploaded several months ago, but it's still like 6 months and no views. This is apparently him just doing Bible studies, but
yeah, well, it may be the quality of his thumbnails that are the problem too, because those ones that are just like blocks of text. If you see if you're scrolling through your feed and you see a thumbnail is literally just a block of text, do you click on that? I do not.
To me, it usually depends on the creator, because I find some of us just have weird thumbnails. I'm pretty minimalist about my thumbnails at this point. Like, I tried for a while to do like ones, specific to each episode, and I was like, yeah, this is just failing me, so I'll just go with something generic, and then every once in a while I'll just find something funny to throw on there, It's like, whatever. It seems like the least important. It seems like it should be secondary to actually being able to dedicate the time to hosting the stream and all that, It's just like I spend, a half hour
doing
thumbnails.
I spend a lot of time on my thumbnails. I spend like a stupid amount of time on my thumbnails, probably way more than I need to.
You have a lot. You have good ones, though. But you also have kind of like that. So there's a word that's escaping me now. It's a really simple word. A consistency in your program, so that now you're able to kind of you have the standard for like Cryptic Corner and stuff like that.
I can recognize your thumbnails even if I don't read that's your name. That's a brand. You branded yourself.
Yeah, I tried. That's the idea. You want to be visibly apparent. You want someone when they're scrolling through to say, "Hey, that's this channel." Back when I get where you're at. I was where you're at now, Trusty Podcast. The only thing that I would suggest to add is just your icon onto every thumbnail you do. Just slap your icon on there at the very least. That's what I first started out doing, just so that when people are scrolling through and they want to see, hey, what's Trusty Podcast doing, that pops up in their feed. That would be my only suggestion on that, but I don't always do my so like when I do Life and Hive, it's not always tailored to the topic because there's so many topics on the show. What are you smoking there, Dying Sun?
It's just tobacco. No giggly stuff.
No sativa.
No.
I'm going to show it because I've been pushing this stuff. It is really good, and my club's out of it. They need to get more, but monkey butter. This is the stuff right here. I love it. It's like second to Gorilla Glue from High Garden. It's my new favorite.
I've never been into grass stuff. I've tried it, but for me it just smells like pickles and gherkins, and I don't like the smell of it. There you go.
Yeah,
nice.
that's this is Gastropop. I got about a half ounce of it, but it's very I recently switched over to sativa because I felt like I was sleeping too much or being like too lethargic, so I'm trying to switch over to sativa to see if that helps with the sleepy shit. But
yeah, I'm finding
so far it has, and I'm still sleepy as fuck. So
I try to use more CBD when I'm when I have to do things, but I just want some like stress relief. CBD doesn't take away the edges. Actually, sometimes it tends to give me a little bit of an energy boost, rather than like the indica type stuff that will help me put me to sleep at night.
Yeah. Well, so the CBD does a lot for my body aches and stuff. I smoke for some other conditions though, so the CBD doesn't help with those anxiety conditions that I deal with. It kind of sucks because CBD does help with aches and pains, and sometimes I feel like THC makes me more aware of my aches and pains.
So this might be a weird question, but so are insects affected by THC? Like, can you feed it to them? If you blow smoke in the tank, are they going to get high? Do we have any info on that?
So there is a lot of study into how THC affects different animals. I don't know what experiments we have altogether on arthropods when it comes to that. It is something I might look into, though. It sounds like it'd be interesting. Obviously, there's the meme of this is what a spider builds its web like on this drug and that drug, and one of them's always marijuana. But I don't know that those actually comport with any real studies. You know what I mean? I don't think that those memes are necessarily reflective of any real research that's been done.
So as far as inhalation goes, like many insects they have different respiratory systems, so they might not even inhale smoke the same way or process it the same way, right?
Yeah, well, so insects, the funny thing about them is that like you see their mouth and things it's analogous with our mouth, right? And you think that they're very similar to us. Their respiratory system is not anywhere near their head. It's like on the opposite end of their body. They don't breathe out of their face. They breathe out of their abdomen. Like it'd be like you having basically something similar to having like gills on either one of your butt cheeks is what it would be like.
Yeah.
They have they're called spiracles, but they're little holes. Generally they're holes that are sort of round or oval shaped, but sometimes they're slits that look like gills. There's another kind of respiratory system called book lungs that spiders, that like tarantulas and stuff use. But we'll talk about insects here for a minute, just to kind of give the impression. Now, for a long time, it was always thought that insects just kind of let air flow through them because that's all they really need to do, because they're giving oxygen to such a small area of their body, right? The oxygen can get into they don't have blood, they have hemolymph, which is kind of similar, but it doesn't run through veins. It's just kind of sloshing around in there. And not only does it represent the blood and function as their blood, it also functions as the fluid that pumps their muscles, because they don't really have muscles per se, but hydrostatic skeletons, which is it's sacs of fluid pressure that they push around inside their body underneath their exoskeleton that allows them to move. So they're all hydraulic pressure systems, right? So it's hydraulic pressure system / blood, and it's all right there really close to the surface, so it's easy to keep it oxygenated without having to kind of pumping. But when it gets to larger insects, they actually do a pseudo respiration on their abdomen by inflating it, like filling it full of fluid and retracting it to pump oxygen into their spiracles. So we do see some respiration. Now, what all they can absorb as far as chemicals from the air. I know that when they're in their larval states, a lot of beetles absorb in this also rolls over to like insects like katydids or not katydids, but cicadas. When they're in the soil, they absorb a lot of heavy metals. So I think they're more absorbent than mammals, kind of like amphibians are. We have a tough layer of dermis that keeps stuff from getting to us, but they're not so lucky. Anything that's small enough to get under their chitin shell can infect them. So THC, I don't know. I don't know if I've seen any experiments on it, but I'd be interested in looking into it. I just rambled on for like way too long, guys. I'm sorry.
No, that was great. Like it was. I mean, I knew some of it, but it was a good refresher, and learned from it. But okay, so back to where I was. So it seems like the most effective way we could find would be to try to feed insects the plant matter, whatever. However, we get them to ingest the THC orally rather than through some like form of inhalation. Probably be more.
And there are
accurate
pest
results.
species that eat marijuana, right? There's aphids are really bad. That's why ladybugs. They'll always recommend those at the grow houses and stuff when you're trying to start your own grow operation with some weed. Anyway, they'll have ladybugs there that they sell to you right there in the shop half the time because they're so good at keeping aphids off your pot plants.
Yeah, I remember we tried to grow pot one time when I was younger. I was a teenager, and I had the greenhouse was in my bedroom, which was also the laundry room. It was like a trifecta. But anyway, and it was just the perfect environment. Like those little guys were going crazy. They were in my bed. They were everywhere. Like those
ladybugs. Aphids. Yeah. They'll wreck your crop too if you don't control them. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why you got to get them ladybugs. It's funny because everybody thinks how little and cute ladybugs are. They're ferocious predators. I mean, they're like kaiju coming into aphid kingdom and just snarfing up everybody. You ever seen a video of a ladybug eating? It's like a Godzilla movie to them.
No, I recently saw, what was it? It was a mantis eating a cockroach, and it was time lapsed. But it tore each one of its limbs off individually, and then it was a whole process. It was crazy.
The plant.
Yeah.
Aren't there some honeybees that can make honey from pot flowers?
Yeah, from the flowers. Yeah, there are, and the honey actually can have a little bit of kick to it too. You can also feed it to cows, and it comes out in their milk.
Right. That's cool. But in their behavior, there's nothing unusual in the honeybees that make honey from pot, is it?
I think it's just regular domesticated European honeybees. If given only access to the pot, they will. I think. Let me get back to you on that because I'm kind of talking on my ass there, remembering what I half read article from years ago, but.
Yeah, it's a lot of data.
I know that there are bees. I just don't know much about the whole experiment. There are bees that definitely make honey out of pot, and that the pot did have THC in it. Yeah, ladybugs eating aphids. They're so ferocious. Ferocious. I'm glad you like watching animal videos. You're gonna make me stay over on my lunch break.
If it loads for me.
Nom. Are you? Are you on Wi-Fi or Ethernet?
Yeah, I'm still on Wi-Fi. I have to get. Right now, I'm using a shared Wi-Fi. I need to get my own individual. That one's.
Oh, you don't have a. Okay, gotcha. So you can't
Yeah.
hardwire in. Those are ladybug larvae. Big guy.
Okay.
Nom nom nom. Here comes the big ones.
Wow.
See how mobile their neck is? I guess you call it a neck. It's from their light or their.
So wait, do they have an additional set of mandibles down underneath?
Yeah.
Is that what's?
Yep, they got big, powerful beetle mandibles. Well, not big, but they're kind of small. But they're perfect for eating. They're good at walking at bulk feeding on little crowds of bugs like this. And see how the aphids don't run or anything? It's because what they do, the way they feed is they have like a proboscis that they stab into the plant, and then when it stabs in there, it opens up these little side tubes that they suck through because it opens up into the veins of the plant. It goes stabs in.
So now they're all stuck during their they're all stuck during their
Yeah.
feeding process, and the ladybugs come in and capitalize. Okay.
They can get out of that position. They are able to get out of it, but it's a lot of energy too. So instead of adapting to escape, they just breed so many that when the ladybugs come and munch on a few of them, that there's enough left to survive.
Sometimes quantity is a quality in itself, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. See that one trying to back out there? One wiggling around. He's trying to get out of his. He's locked in. He's trying to get his proboscis out. Because he knows he's next from where that ladybug's standing.
Damn, that was my brother that just got eaten. I'm trying to get out of here.
We get free? Yep, we got free. Let me get him.
His friends are not so lucky.
It's cleaning his mandibles. Run, dude, run!
He escaped. Did he?
Did he? Yeah, it looks like he did it because the ladybug went for the big fat one instead. Nom nom nom.
It looks like that was from Hank Green's channel. Yes, Hank's channel. Love Hank's channel.
Thank you, Hank Green. Ladybugs are badass. So yeah, bugs are weird. I do have to go, but thanks for letting me come in and hang out with you for a minute. Okay, I gotta get back to work.
Yep, I appreciate you coming by. Good to see you, Bree.
Yeah, well, bye.
Good to see you.
I don't know. That opens up some. Maybe I don't know. Ladybugs Now I gotta open up that ethical question. Is it right to keep a ladybug? Can't keep ladybugs. Well, maybe if you have pot plants. Maybe I can just raise a pot plant and then infest myself with aphids and then get some ladybugs and justify it, rationalize it that way. I don't know.
You want a pet ladybug?
Yeah.
You want one or 30,000?
Yeah, you'd have to have a team. I mean, I don't know. At some point, maybe start selling them.
Yeah, I don't know. They look fine. They're colorful. It might cheer you up in a way.
Yeah, there's always been this thing. I don't know where it came from. Like when I was a kid, I remember somebody telling me that it was good luck if a ladybug landed on you. And so now I think about that every time a ladybug lands on me. It's, that nostalgic moment.
I remember. You have to sing a special song for the ladybug to go away.
Yes. So, what are your other hobbies outside of whatever about? Do you talk about philosophy and stuff like that a lot? Is that something you're interested in?
I can talk about philosophy, but I don't think it's a hobby. I mean, I listened a lot so that I can express them, but I don't know if philosophy is extremely useful.
Okay, well, I used to think that way. I didn't used to think there was any real need for philosophy, but now, as I get older, my views adjusted to where I think that there's, to a certain extent, philosophy is a way of being. Whatever way that you live your life is your philosophy, whether or not you recognize it or discuss it, right? And then there's the other aspect of it where we have philosophical discussions and debates, and that's where you're trying to justify your way of life to others, maybe even convince others that they should live the way you do because it's a better way to live. And then there's a way of doing that where we can have conversations and situations that might otherwise escalate to conflict or violence don't have to escalate to that situation anymore. So I've come to think of philosophy as a way that we resolve conflicts in the real world, amongst like large groups of people.
Is that appeal to reason?
Yeah, absolutely.
If there will be a Nobel Prize for philosophy, Nobel Prizes are awarded for things that have applicability in real life, not for theoretical stuff. But if there will be a Nobel Prize for philosophy, what that thing would be?
I would say world peace amongst humans. I think that's the best we could hope for. But if you had true peace where there are no active wars going on anywhere in the world amongst any nation, that person, whoever caused that, should get that Nobel Prize.
So world peace can be achieved through philosophy, through a philosophical idea?
I think that's the only way it could be achieved. I don't think any other form of, the only other alternative in that sense is force. And anytime we try to force people to act in a certain way, it ends up backfiring on us. So I think the only way is to reason with people in order to achieve something like that.
Would you say that reasoning with people implies some sort of compromise as well?
Yes.
Maybe willing compromise, yeah.
A great deal of compromise in a lot of cases, which is kind of where the religious freedom thing ties in, because when we compromise with religion, in many instances it seems to us from a secular perspective that we are compromising with people abusing and oppressing other people under the guise of their religion. And as long as that's the case, we can't honestly be achieving like a true equality amongst all people, because we're still allowing somebody else to be oppressed.
Yeah. Well, we are we are allowing it, but we're not. It's not a conscious allowance. I think it's related to identity in a way. It has to be a me and a you, and therefore there will be always two sides, and one side will be lesser than the other, because you will put yourself instinctually in a better position than others. Therefore, you will involuntarily oppress the other side, and they will do the same with you. So it's an eternal conflict, if I can say it. What do you think?
Yeah, well, it seems so, but I think, if anything, we've been more stifled by religion, in that now you have this third party, this arbiter of all things that nobody can actually put. They can place God responsible for all of these different things, for making laws, and yet God never ultimately takes responsibility, right? It's always just the eternal conflict of two people arguing. Now, if you accept the eternal conflict and you leave the God or the arbiter out of the equation, well, the next logical step seems to be that you would go to the government, the democracy, which is, and we end up with these systems. And I think there's a conflict between secular government and religion worldwide as a whole, where as long as religion has that foothold of being untouchable, then we can always defer to something other than the government. When at that point, you just have to ask yourself, I think that's where, again, studying moral philosophy is important, because where am I getting my moral philosophy from? And if I'm getting it from a system where I have to compromise with other people, and this is what other people need to thrive, and this is what I need to thrive, how do we both achieve our goals? Then you end up with just a democratic government. But if you defer to a book that commands certain behaviors and condemns other behaviors, and was written by a bunch of guys who you can't talk to anymore, whether or not they existed in the first place, you can't talk to them today. You can't talk to any of their disciples today. You can only talk to people who have previously read the book. So it's
but
really...
I'm sorry.
Ahead. No, that's okay.
Would you say, even if we take take religion out of the picture, we eradicate religion today, would we still need an arbiter? I mean, regardless of what we're doing, where we are, when we are, we will always need an arbiter to look up for.
Yeah. We'll need at the very least, we'll need like a judiciary, because we need objective observers to resolve conflicts, minor conflicts between humans that we can't sometimes resolve ourselves because we're emotionally invested. We're having, whatever difficulty we're having resolving the conflict, we need someone who's able to step in outside of the situation and be a judge of it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say hello and welcome to William Freeman. Big hugs.
Hey, Will. Are you a moral realist, or what's the opposite?
I lean more towards what is it? Realist, but compatibilist, I think is the way we term.
Compatible. Okay.
So moral realism with free will compatibilism.
So whatever society deems right or good, right or wrong, the society is the arbiter. That's where
the society creates the law. I mean, so in a sense, yes. In a sense, that's true, but society is subject to change, right? So just because society said something 50 years ago doesn't mean that it is true today.
Yeah.
So that the only thing that makes the system work is the fact that it is in itself adaptive. It's not fixed. If it becomes fixed, then it's arbitrary, right? But if it is adaptive, then it's not merely arbitrary. It is conforming to the knowledge that we gain as we go forward, right?
Right. So you have to be compatible with society at the time that society and you exists.
Yes, but you also have to act in a way maybe that's even against society in order to achieve certain changes. Like at one point in society, owning other people was acceptable, and only through aggressive rebellion could we determine that owning people was not acceptable.
Well, was it aggressive rebellion though? I think it didn't make much money, so they stopped doing it.
No. Well, I mean the other people who could have owned. So it was the rebellion of the people who were in power. You know, you had to have that divide. But they placed themselves in a situation knowing that they may have lost, right? But that they had the correct moral assumption, right? So at some point you have to take that risk, and every society has when you look at it. Otherwise, those societies collapsed, and that's why we can look through all of history and see, oh yeah, well this civilization they were really successful. Why did they fail? Well, usually it's because they just failed to conform or adapt to what was happening in the world around them at a particular point in time.
Are you familiar with Tijam's objective morality model?
Yeah, I've heard him speak on it a bit, although I find him hard to follow at times, because he T-jumps around a little bit. No, yeah. But yeah, no, I think I know the gist of it.
Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I think it is, but I don't know if it comports with, in my mind, his view on free will, which is why I emphasize that quite a bit, because you have to have the two sides to that coin. If morality is objective, but the whims of society then are subjective, right? Because they're changing. Then you have to account for this model for free will, and that's why, again, ultimately we can't achieve this by force. We must reason with people in order to achieve a true type of universal harmony amongst ourselves.
So it's a forced evolution, mental evolution. Like we have to do it this way, and not other way.
No, I'm saying the opposite. We cannot force evolution. Evolution it necessitates compromise.
Right.
So anytime we try to force it, we'll actually be working against that process.
I think Tijam's point is that because morality is like a force of nature, we will be touched by it eventually.
I would agree with that statement. I mean,
maybe we are not evolved enough to tap into that unknown force of nature yet, but that thing can exist, and we can synchronize with that force eventually.
With the source of objective morality?
Yeah.
Which would merely be synchronicity with nature itself.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I can absolutely agree with that. Yeah, and I do consider myself philosophically a naturalist. Whatever that means to some people, but as far as my understanding of it, so I think that's in harmony with what I believe. Of course, it's another thing to try to explain that to somebody who is, you know, directly opposed to the idea, and subscribes to the supernatural. And I've had to be more sympathetic to that myself as well lately. Like with the things going on in my life, I've had to step back to where I cease to argue with religious people who I know personally and things like that, or you know, not bringing it to work with me, that type of thing, and also accepting that I need rules, even if they seem silly, in order to achieve equilibrium in my life, to where I'm not doing unhealthy things, right? So even though I know the ritual is silly, I'm still going to do it in order to get the desired result.
Right. We are full of rituals and habits and even irrational thinking, irrational fears, and we seem to be swimming in quasi supernatural, but I don't think of it as supernatural per se. This is just the way that we make sense of the world. And I think going into supernatural, I mean, the first thought when you see something unexpected is that that's a ghost. I think that's the easy way out of explaining, because explaining is hard and it's hard work, and some people don't want to do that.
Yeah, or, you know, nobody likes the guy who thinks he has all the answers. He tends to be the jerk in the room. So there's, you know, it's like, well, you could go one way of like, I don't know anything. I'm just, you know, big dumb guy, or I know all the answers. And then it's like, you can't really have a conversation with either of those people. But in some ways, I do look at it like I consider myself a hippie, and I know you said you don't really dabble with marijuana, but when you get stoned, you know, the general consensus is most people who get stoned, they're just like, yeah, look at the trees, man, that's really cool. Far out, man, that's kind of supernatural. You know, it's I can't explain it, it's beyond me, but it's really cool, right? You know, that's kind of the mindset you're looking at, and I think it's a good way to start going about life. A childlike mentality to start with, you know, and then you've got to be aware of very serious threats to your existence. But in the society we live in today, where those threats are fewer and fewer, and people have more and more anxiety, and they're like, well, how do we remedy this situation? And well, the drug companies have the answers. It's anti-anxiety medication. It's like, what is marijuana? Marijuana is nature's anti-anxiety medication, you know, for most people. And I don't know. I don't see it as like a way of life. Like it's not necessarily the answer, but I think if we used it more often in smaller doses, and maybe this is the way, I don't know, we got to Judaism at some point. I guess there's speculation the rabbis were burning hash in the temples or something like that. But yes. I'm just saying that if we just prescribe low doses of THC for people who are having, you know, social issues or, you know, behavioral issues in their life, that might be a better remedy than all these crazy pharmaceutical drugs we're synthesizing every day. And then you would have a healthier society overall. But that's up to medical doctors, not me. I mean, it's just my opinion. But
yeah, you know. But Isn't the big pharma thing doing the same thing? Is not helping ameliorating the anxiety stuff, the pills. I mean, you can, the fact that pot exists makes it easier than fabricating pills and stuff, but the active substance and the active ingredients in all those anxiety pills and antidepressants, why is it more harmful to take them instead of pot?
Well, I think it's just the perfect storm of circumstances. You have this rich history with pot around the world where we had it and nobody really cared. Like, it was just like alcohol. You had people who overdid it, but most people could just use it moderately and it was fine. And then you come to the modern era, where now we have modern chemistry, modern medicine, industrialization. All these things are kind of happening in a pretty short span of time, and what the governments of the world at the time, the Western governments, collectively decided was that we needed to prohibit things. We needed to prohibit alcohol, pot, cocaine, heroin, etc. And at the same time, we needed to supplement these things with our modern chemistry. And then they sent the chemists to work to try to work with the doctors, right? And you have a pretty rich history of that going very badly. In a fairly short period. I mean, it's better than the medicine we had before, but it's still like, okay. And then when you walk it back, now a lot more doctors, at least in my area, and this in my time, like we've in my state, we've legalized it for recreational use. There's a lot more medicinal use going on, and the doctors are much more are quicker to tell you, rather than me prescribing you a medication, why don't you go smoke a joint? And if that works for you, then I don't have to give you this medication you have to take every day. And that's a reasonable alternative. Now, the problem in the U.S. with the federal government, and a lot of it is because of those conservative evangelicals that want to prohibit things. Once again, because they'll find a biblical reason or some reason we have to condemn your behavior. And it's a matter of using force rather than reason.
Right. Is it true that the war on drugs in America started as with religious claims, kind of?
They were tied in there originally. They with the war on drugs, I think what we were talking about under Reagan, right? Because there have been multiple wars on drugs, but the one we're talking about starts under Ronald Reagan, I believe, and what he was calling an epidemic, which was crack cocaine. But then he just kind of universally said, we're going to say all these drugs are bad. And yes, there is some tie to their Christian beliefs, and the Bible says putting anything in your body is bad. We've already failed with alcohol prohibition, so we're not going to throw that back in there. For some reason, we can't find, we've got all these studies on tobacco being severely harmful, but we make a lot of money off of them, so we're not going to put that in there. But then we're going to crack down a lot more on pot, which at the time was a very lucrative and dangerous industry. If you think about the money that was on the street that was seized during like those drug raids in the 90s and the early 2000s by DEA and other local agencies in the U.S., they took billions of dollars out of the hands of people who were local farmers. And they would say, well, people get shot in drug deals, and sometimes that happens with pot. And therefore, it's like there's no attempt to regulate the industry, nothing. They just went zero tolerance. And it seemed that way for a while. But you realize the nature of law enforcement. Sometimes their hands are kind of tied, and they're just following orders and doing their jobs too. And so I think there's enough, we've demonstrated the war on drugs has been an utter failure and has just caused more unnecessary incarceration, more pain to people. And so I think we're just moving towards that just very slowly. And I do think that I hold Christianity at least partially responsible. I know there are other contributing factors, but I think Christianity has a lot to do with it in the U.S.
I agree. Yeah. Didn't Reagan study with the Jehovah's Witnesses? Or was it Reagan or Roosevelt? Roosevelt was.
May have been Roosevelt. Yeah, I think Reagan was a Christian.
Yeah. Can you be a president and have no religious affiliations?
Well, they say you can, but there's a couple issues with that that we're dealing with here, and like more in the realm of local officials. You must swear on the Bible, and you must affirm your oath to God and country, and the failure or hesitance, or reluctancy to do so kind of automatically makes you a target. It makes you suspect. You're anti-establishment. You're not just following these rules. Like, just lie to us. And I think a lot of presidents probably have. They just say, yeah, just swear your oath to God and country, put your hand on the Bible and get it over with. Who cares if you believe it or not? That's not what's important here. But that creates, that's fine. I mean, that sows the seeds of distrust. That creates a dishonest society. And it makes you question, it's like a lot of people have these, like, we have the Freemasons here as a fairly big organization that people think is very mysterious and everything. And it's really not that mysterious. I've read up on it quite a bit. And they're just kind of a gentleman's club that focuses a lot on these topics of politics, philosophy, and religion. They're a somewhat exclusive club, but, basically anybody can join. But one of the contingencies is you have to agree that some creator has to exist. You don't have to be a Christian or a Muslim necessarily. You just have to believe in some kind of God and say that to the congregation. And be able to have that conversation. You can't come in there saying, nope, there's no God, I'm denying it, what's the next topic? If you do that, you're out. Which I think is a weird rule. But, that's their rule. It doesn't matter what religion you belong to, but you have to belong to one of them. And I think the U.S. as a country is moving more towards that, where it used to be you have to be a Christian. Now, yeah, you could be a Christian, you could be a Catholic, before you had to be a Protestant, right? And then we opened the gates from that, right? And then, and now, yeah, we'll let some Muslims in too, as long as they believe in a God. But atheist politicians tend to be very rare, or at least openly atheist politicians. And it shows the mentality of where people's trust lie. They would rather somebody believe in a different God than theirs than no God at all, which is strange to me.
Yeah. My mom, when I told her that I'm not gonna go to meetings anymore and I'm not a believer anymore, she told me, okay, you don't want to be a Jehovah's Witness, then be the best Catholic that you can be. I mean, like, wow, why would you say that to me? Yeah, they can't cope with no God. If they're left defenseless with the idea of no God.
Yeah, no God and no afterlife. Those are the two biggies. Yeah. And the idea of death, which understandably scares everyone, but I think the fact that we create this fiction in every religion, even religions that are without God, like secular Buddhism still believes in like karmic repetition or rebirth or some type of cycle. Like they have to believe that something's going to happen when they die. It's not just nothing, which is like it's incidental. At the end of the day, you're arguing about something that nobody has or will ever prove actually happened. I mean,
it's a comfort tool. But do you think it does good, more good than bad?
No, I really feel like just smoking a joint would do more good. I have to go back to the. Yeah, it's like the. I don't know. I was joking about what Rastafarianism because that's their thing, but they don't worship pot, but they believe that the Creator put weed on the earth so people could just relax and stop worrying about shit like death, because you can't control it, man. Like.
Yeah, but that may put you in a defeatist position. Is like, and can trigger a existential crisis, isn't it? When there's no future.
Well, but then you have to. That's why you commit yourself to society, to a family, to whatever your cause is, and just try to do your best on that level. Like, not believe you're gonna get rewarded after you're dead.
Yeah.
But believe that your impact on other people is going to be positive and hopefully lasting after you die. Like, maybe you could start a YouTube channel and record some videos, and even after I'm dead, maybe YouTube will still exist and people will still find these. Or I can write a book or a song or a poem, and somebody will find that, and it will be helpful to them in their experience. Right? And that's really like the best we can hope for as individual humans. But the afterlife, that's really just trying to help yourself. That you're talking about comforting yourself. And I think the problem again, like, is a lot of people, we're so comfortable that we feel anxious when nothing is happening. And I've experienced this a lot in my life.
Yes.
Like, we feel the sense of danger and existential dread because we're bored, which is just so unusual in the animal kingdom. Like, we should be feeling this when we're fighting for our lives, and yet, we're sitting on the couch. And it's such a strange psychological phenomenon, I guess, from that product of society.
Yes. I think I have to go, and I want to thank you for having me here. It's been a great talk.
I appreciate you coming by.
You're an amazing person.
Do you go by Ed?
Ed, yes.
Okay, it was nice talking to you, Ed. My name's Kevin, by the way. Ed, thank you for coming by.
Nice to meet you.
It's nice meeting you. All right. Well, with that, I'll probably call it a good stream, good day, and much love to everyone. See, this is the type of thing I love to do. I think we're in agreement on many points, Ed and I, and I feel like there's so much ties into the things that I'm experiencing and helps to enrich me. And I don't know what else to say other than thank you. Thank you all, viewers, listeners, guests, patrons, friends, past, present, future. Eventually we'll fix that ticker because we need to put some more names in there and stuff. And say good night, good luck, or good afternoon. It's still morning where I'm at. Wherever you are, whenever you are, be kind, be well, stay trusty. Take a deep breath, and we'll be back next time.